Okay. So y'all can see my screen?
Yes, Miss Miriam.
All right. Okay. So yeah, like how my colleague explained, today is about project management fundamentals, but I'm adding a bit of AI in today's class because AI is becoming like an essential part for whatever work we do at the moment of time. So I have sprinkled a few of AIs related in this course. I hope it will be very useful and you can take it away and use it in practical. Okay, so today we're going to explore the project fundamentals, the core concepts for real-world application. We're going to explore the project life cycle, where I'll walk through briefly from initiation to closure. I also highlight some common pitfalls to watch out for and share strategies to identify and avoid project failures. We'll compare the methodology between Agile and Waterfall and discuss the strengths and some use cases for each approach. Finally, I'll walk you through how AI can be integrated into project management to enhance efficiency and decision making. Now let's watch a short video on project management. Sorry.
Look around yourself and there is a project underway. Whether you are manufacturing a new car model, or constructing the world's tallest building, or even organizing a grand wedding, we all manage products every day, big and small. Not everything needs an extensive oversight. For instance, cooking a meal for yourself does not require that much planning. However, cooking meals for the entire neighborhood or for the entire town is a serious affair. You need to plan, gather resources, and have a timeline in place. This needs a proper management. However, about 50% of companies don't understand the importance of project management. So what is project management? Simply put, project management is about knowing what you want to achieve, how you are going to achieve it, how much time it will take to achieve. It's a set of practices that strategically lead you to your goal in an efficient way. This is because project management ensures you go through the 5 stages of a project: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Initiation is when you find out what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who is involved in the project. Planning lets you outline the details of your project, such as a timeline, cost, resources needed, risks, and quality. Execution is where you start working on your project and ensure everything stays on track. With monitoring and controlling, you compare your real-time progress to the original plan and take measures when errors occur. And closing is wrapping up your project, analyzing what's been done, and noting what could be done better the next time. Project management doesn't just improve your productivity, it also provides a foundation for better collaboration between team members. It helps you get the right people to work on the right jobs, makes you ready to manage any risks that may arise, and allows you to get your work done on time, all the time.
That was project management in a nutshell. So what is project is all about? Projects are temporary endeavors with clear endpoints, clear goals, and focus on unique outcomes that require coordinated team efforts. If you yourself are doing it, it is not a project. You have to have a team to work on it. But in contrast, routine work involves ongoing operations with repetitive process, standardized procedures, and continuous activity. It has to go on. There's no endpoint. Now, the key difference are the projects are time-bound, focused on unique deliverables, and requires collaboration from various departments and maybe various levels as well. While routine work is ongoing, repetitive, and follows standard procedures, it is like standard. It will never change unless there's some new technology or something came in. Now, it's very important to understand this distinction when planning and managing different types of work within organization. More often, I've seen people getting confused between project and routine work. So this is an example I'm giving here. Here we are seeing an app development team in a creative meeting in this image, representing a project with a defined start and end, unique product creation, and cross-functional team. But at the same time, for this app, you just launch, you can't just keep quiet, right? You need to get your customer service representative to start promoting it. So what happens? This falls into their routine where they have to talk to people about it. Maybe they have to do some debugging and issue resolution. All this will come when you start promoting this app. So here we have the key differences, like project is like what I mentioned, you have a start and end date, you have the on-time implementation, but maintenance is not a project. We will know, okay, we have an app done and then we have to maintain it. That is not a project. That becomes something like a routine because you have to make sure the system is up and running. Whereas for customer service, like what I mentioned, they have to keep talking to your customers. They have to keep resoluting their problems. You have to ensure there's no escalation coming in. And this is their routine. Okay. Give me a moment. Yeah. So the key characteristic of project is what? Put it in the chat. What is the key characteristics of the project? I have 27 people here. It's there in the slide already. You have to be time bound. Okay. Timeline. Yes, thank you, Inception Consultants. Okay. Time bound. Your outcome is very unique because it's only for the project. Milestone. Yes, thank you, Nelly. Milestone. Dania, team coordination. Absolutely. Correct. And also don't forget the scope. When you don't control the scope, what happens? You'll have scope creeps. You have to look into all the different requirements coming in, which you are not prepared for. Money. Yeah, that's a good point. Budget. You have to look into money also. Thank you, Anwar. So these are some of the key characteristics of project. Many activities, tasks you mean. Yes, you are right. So all these comprises of project. Okay. Now this is a very famous triangle. Recently, they have improvised it. Previously, it was a different concept the triangle had. After, I think, in 2022, they changed this triangle to have these constraints like time, scope, and cost. Okay. And this is from the PMI, Project Management Institute. The scope refers to what? The work required to complete the project. So this is what? Like your tasks, your deliverables, and your requirements. All this comes into your scope. Time is where you work into your schedule, your deadlines for the project. This will include, like somebody rightfully mentioned, milestones, dates, and your scheduling is there. Cost, money, somebody have told me just now, money refers to the budget and also the resources you need to execute the project, such as labor, materials, equipment, and if you are like getting people from the outside as external vendors, their salaries. Now, the key point is that these three elements are interdependent. If you change one aspect, like for example, you have no choice, but you have to increase the scope, it will typically require what? You may have to factor in more time, and more money. Project managers must be very careful to balance these constraints to ensure the project is successful. You need to find the trade-offs between scope, time, and cost. Now, there will be instances where the management comes and tells you, no, this requirement, this must go in. Maybe it's due to regulatory. When it's regulatory, you can't say no. Then what you have to do, either you look into the scope and say, is there anything which I can remove? Or can I put in more resources to do this work, which will entail to have more cost? Can I present to the management on this? Will they accept? If it's regulatory, usually they won't say no. Because you have to be compliant. If not, you may lose your business altogether. Now let's go through a short case study here, okay, which highlights the importance of proper planning and scope management for this project, which is app website redesign. The initial plan had an unrealistic timeline, which led to problems emerging during the project. Then what happened? Poor planning, unclear responsibilities, and lack of buffer time for testing resulted in a negative outcome. And what was that? The launch was delayed by 6 weeks and the client relationship was damaged. Now you have to think when you're having this kind of web redesign with definite timelines, there are other aspects involved. Client might be already preparing all these promotional materials to put in social media or to have their banners up to say, hey, you know what, we have revamped our website. Come visit us on this particular date. But when the date comes, the website is still the old one, what will happen? People will start to doubt the client. You said you're going to have a new website on this date, but it's still the old one. And then the client has to go and say, okay, due to some technical issues, blah, 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 we have delayed. It doesn't look good on the client. And the client will take it out on you because, in this case, on this website redesign team. So what is the lesson here? You must be very clear and concise in your planning and scope management because that is where your critical success factor is for any project. Carefully considerate of timelines, responsibilities, and make sure that testing and everything is essential and done in a very good way to avoid failures. Now, this case study provides valuable insight that better planning and execution is where a project manager's real, I would say, bulk is. Now, these are the 5 phases of project management which we saw in the video just now. The first phase is initiation. What happens in initiation? Can somebody tell me? What happens during initiation? The first process, the first phase. You can put it in the chat box or you can unmute and tell me. What happens in initiation? Meeting with the team, stakeholder management, kickstart meeting, requirements gathering. Yes, you are right, Mr. Muhammad. Here is where I would say, maybe your client who's internal or external comes to you and says that, okay, I want to project idea. Yes, correct, Mr. Alif. Project charter is important, correct. Read contract. Yeah, yes, correct. So here is where you have to look into 360 degrees. Your client comes and says, I want to build this app to this loyalty app because he is maybe from retail. Now you can't just say yes. You have to see what is his requirements are. What is his envisioning of this project is. Can I do it in phases? Here you can think in a very high level. In this way, can it be done high phases? Is there any regulatory inform like in Malaysia, I think PDPA, in Europe is GDPR. Do I have to be compliant? All these things you have to think through. So here where you define the purpose of the project and you define a high level scope of project, and like somebody rightfully said, project chatter comes in, where you have a agreement with all your stakeholders, sponsors, your team to say, okay, we are going to do this project. But it's a very, very high level kind of plan. Next is planning. This is a very tedious part, a very crucial part and very important part. You start breaking down your tasks, work breakdown structure. For example, he says loyalty app, I want people to log in. That one line, we can't work on it, right? We have to see, log in using what? Yeah, are they going to use their mobile phone? Are they going to use their email? And is it going to be two-factor authenticated? Because now people are very, I would say, careful with their particulars due to too many scams happening. So are you going to have a two-factor authentication? How will that be captured? Are we going to send to the person's email or are we going to send an SMS? You see, that one line has given me 4 to 5 tasks, but it's not it is exhaustive. You have to have a lot of tasks for that. So here is where you break down each and every task, the timeline, the budget, and who is responsible. It could be, it depends on your company. It could be a team or it could be a person, but everything has to be planned. Okay? Then you go to execution, where this is where the rubber hits the road, they say, right? Where you start carrying out whatever you plan for. And you'll coordinate whatever resources you need to make sure it's going. Now, execution part, you may face what? Risks also. One of your team member decided to resign. What are you going to do? Or this app, which you were doing in this particular programming language, suddenly had an update. They want to have an update for a better version. How is it going to affect your ongoing development? The risks will come here during execution. And then you move on to monitoring. You track progress and manage any changes that come up. Again, in monitoring, there will risks come. Risks will come. You may say, okay, this app is supposed to take only 20 megabyte, but it's taking 200 megabyte when you install. How I'm going to work on that? How I'm going to scale it down? So these are the changes which will come, and you have to monitor and look for alternative ways to handle those changes, those risks. And finally, is the happy phase. Let's put it in a very positive way. Closure, where you finalize the deliverables. Maybe you have a presentation for the sponsors to see how it goes, and then you evaluate the overall project performance. But you must also remember to celebrate for your team, for the people involved, even your sponsors, stakeholders. Get a small get together and you have to celebrate. Now, why this celebration is very important? Because we are humans and humans want to be what? They want to be recognized. A small gesture, maybe it's a pizza party, it makes them feel good. So you have to ensure that celebration is also there in your closure. Okay. So for initiation phase, we will lay the foundation as shown in the slide. We'll start by identifying the key business need or opportunity that is driving this project. You have to understand the problem or the challenge or the good factor we are trying to solve or we are trying to enhance, which is very, very essential. By doing this project, what I'm going to achieve, what I'm going to have in the business sense. Next, we'll define clear goals and success criteria. This gives us a shared understanding among the team, among the sponsors, among the stakeholders of what we are aiming to achieve and how we'll measure the progress. Next, you have to secure stakeholder buy-in, which is very, very crucial. We need to not only obtain formal authorization, because that is where you can get your money to start with, but also you have to have the go-ahead with the project from key decision makers, and don't forget your team members. Your team also must be okay to work in this project. If not, they may have preferences saying that, no, I don't want this project, I've been working in such projects, count me out. It will happen. It may happen. And finally, you develop a comprehensive, proper project charter. This document will outline all the key parameters, like the start and the end date, your scope, your timeline, how many weeks or months this project is going to take, the resources you need, and the roles and responsibilities. Having a solid initiation phase sets us up for an effective and well-executed project because you already have the backbone done. Okay. So what this project charter should have? This is a very a simple one I'm showing here. The purpose of this is to address like what I mentioned before, the business need or the good factor and something like that. Now here, we have to have these 4 aspects clearly defined. What is the main purpose? The loyalty app is going to bring in 200 more members every month, example. What's the scope? The high-level scope description. Who are the key stakeholders? Now here, it could be also be the customer service officers, because when something goes wrong, who will we will approach the customer service. So they could be also one of the key stakeholders because they are very closer to the customers on how they want to work on this app. Resource requirement, like I mentioned, the budget, the team members, the materials, the people, whatever you need has to be defined. So having a well-defined project charter is essential. It's very important to ensure everyone is aligned. Everyone has agreed on the goals and expectation of this project. Next is the planning. The planning is critical for success of any project as it lays the foundation of the rest of the work. Most of the project manager will spend more time on planning, because here is where you will break down, you do the work breakdown structure, WBS, and you decompose it to very, very lower levels, to the least tasks. You have to make it so that it is more smaller, more manageable. If I'm just going to I'm going to create a login page, I can go wild. But if you tell me these are the steps you have to do, okay, I know what is the flow like, what is the structure is needed. Next, we determine the resources required in the planning phase. People, time, cost to need to complete the work. Now, I will strongly encourage during planning space, have buffer. In terms of timeline, let's say you have calculated and see it's going to take you 6 weeks, put in 2 weeks buffer. In terms of cost, it's going to be like $500,000, add another 50K more. Always ensure you have buffer because you are prepared for surprises. Next, you develop the schedule, which is crucial because here you're creating the timeline properly. You want to see how is there any critical part is there, the dependencies, the milestone, and to keep the project in track. Here you're trying to make it visualize. You're visualizing it. Then risk management is essential. Are you able to identify potential issues here? Maybe, yes. And develop contingency plans to mitigate them. Like, for example, I said, one team member decided to resign. You're already hearing about it, that he's going to resign. Now that is you have to create a contingency plan. Maybe you have to borrow resources from another project manager who is sitting on the bench. Possible. So by thoroughly planning each of these elements, we set the project up for success from the very beginning. Planning is very, very important. That is your brain for your project. Now, this is how a work breakdown structure will look like, which is they call it WBS in the short form. It's a hierarchical decomposition of the overall project goal into more manageable components. So you see on the top level what I have, the project goal, the objective. Then I go down to the major deliverables. So sometimes we can put it like phases, These are the phase 1, phase 2, and this has to be delivered on these phases. Then these major deliverables are broken down into work packages. You can either group them as one activity or some other related activities. Here you break it down further. And lastly, you break it down into individual tasks. This has to be done by who? So what happens, when you have such a structured work breakdown structure, it helps the team to understand exactly what is required from them, what needs to be done, and it allows better task assignment and tracking. For you as a PM, it'll be very easy to track also based on the tasks. You don't have to go around asking people because they're already there. You know what task has been assigned to. Next is the execution phase. Here is where you actually get your work done. We'll start off with a kick-off meeting to get the team aligned on the project plan and assign responsibilities. Throughout the project, we'll regularly monitor the progress, identify issues, and make adjustments as needed. It's important to have a change control process in place to handle any scope changes or risks that come up. Some companies call it as Change Control Board, CCP. I'm sure you may have heard about this in your company. When there's a change during the project, it has to go to the board for approval, and the project manager has to go and justify why. The key execution activities include executing the planned work, tracking progress, managing issues, and communicating updates. You have to make sure your communication is always running. And not one communication method will fit everyone. Some will prefer WhatsApp message. Some may prefer email. Some may prefer to just have it updated in their task, maybe in Jira or ClickUp. So it's all different. So you have to either you have to cater for them, or you have to streamline and make people adapt to it. Here you foster strong teamwork because you're delegating tasks, you're providing support, and you will be very critical to keep the project on track. A project manager who's detached from the project, nobody will dare to go and ask him anything. But if you're somebody who's like, hey, what's happening? What is this task? What is happening? Are you having any challenges? Is there any blockers? That will improve their confidence in you. And here we also implement quality control measures to ensure the deliverables meet all the requirements. Now here QC is not only based on the company's requirement, it could be also regulatory, like I mentioned, maybe it's for PDPA. You have to ensure that you are fitting everything. Okay. Then we move on to monitoring and control phase, which is another critical phase. You need to track key metrics like schedule process, budget utilization, scope adherence, and quality standards. For schedule, we'll review milestones and use dashboards to monitor timeline adherence. That's one of the easiest way and more visual for you to see. One look, you know what's happening. On the budget side, you track expenses against the planned budget using financial tracking tools. Gone are the days where you have to sit and write down everything manually, or even in Excel, you have to put line by line kind of thing. Those days are gone. Now there's so many tools there, which are also AI powered, some of them, You just put it in and they can give you the details within seconds. What is the practical and best software? Okay, this one I will touch base on this later. Anwar, let me move on. Okay. So here you have to maintain the scope. It's very important. You have to ensure there's no scope creep. You have to change. You may have to raise a change request process if a scope creep comes and it's unavoidable. And you have to verify the deliverables against the requirements. Am I on track or am I not on track? Quality must be ensured through testing and quality assurance checks. You have to be very mindful on that. Something you fix, something else breaks, and then you fix this, something else breaks. What will happen? Your project will not meet the timeline. Your project will not meet the budget. And your team members may get frustrated because they are not able to solve that particular issue. So the control mechanisms like having daily stand-ups, status meetings, KPI dashboards, tracking of the issues and variance analysis will keep the project on track. Okay. Now this is the happy pace where you have the project closure. First, you'll discuss the deliverable handover, transferring the completed project to stakeholders along with all necessary documentation. Now, in a company, it always happens like they'll have project teams and they'll have teams that will continue monitoring and deployment and everything. So once your project is done, it will be handed to this other team who will take charge with all this working on that project to make sure the project is working and and it's going on. Then don't forget, you still need the final approval from stakeholders and to formally confirm the project is complete. You need the black and white. You need to ensure everything is there. I think a lot of people are very anxious about knowing about the tools. I will come back to that later. Okay, then you have to release the project team and resources so they can be reassigned to other initiatives. In my experience, in some companies, that's what they do. They'll have a pool of resources. We take them in like for a 3-month project. Project is done, dusted, completed, success. We'll push it back to that pool where another team, another project manager can use it. So here is how the resource allocation will work. And finally, we'll review the lessons learned. You document both the success and the challenges of this project to be informed of future work. You'll always have something to look into. Is commissioning is part of project closure? If I understand correctly, commissioning is usually done in engineering projects, right? Where you kind of like make it live. Am I right, Anwar? So yes, it is part of project closure, yes. So throughout this project closure process, communication is very important. Collaboration is very important. And you have to ensure the project is smoothly closed. It couldn't be like one part they think is closed, the other part they think is not closed. No, you have to communicate clearly to everyone saying that, hey, you know what, it's closed, it's done. Let's move on. Maybe to the next phase or to the next project, depending. Why is lessons learned is very important? I redo the project, I go live already, I commission already. Still, why must I look into these lessons learned? Can anybody tell me why? Why can I move on to the next project? Anyone? Why do I need to have lessons learned? Okay. To improve. Yes. Correct. Correct. Juliha. To improve our next project, absolutely. Improve productivity. No repeated mistake. Avoid repeating mistake. No repeat. Yes, you have got it correctly. Lessons learned is important. Knowledge sharing. Thank you, CK. Yeah. Lessons learned is very crucial for any project, be it very big or very small. Not only you capture your experience, you also put in writing so that whoever comes after you have something to learn from before they embark into a similar project. I won't say same project because the same project will not happen. A similar project, yes. So this creates an organizational knowledge base, which anybody can refer back in the future. Lessons learned also support team development, helping individuals grow professionally. There's something to look into and to see, and like what people say, avoid repeated mistakes. This phase, they did this. So the second phase, we have to ensure we don't do what happened. We don't repeat. And they enable us to refine our process and methodologies for future projects. Maybe phase one, they were so adamant, they want to do waterfall project methodology. But during the project, they realized actually Agile may help me achieve the timeline faster. So for phase two, they decided to adopt Agile. It's an example. So systematically capturing and applying lessons learned, we continually improve. It's what? Continuous improvement. And I like this what Scott has said. Give clarity on what worked and what not. Yes. When you have everything documented, I mean, you have to be very, what they call it, you have to be very transparent. We all know not everything is happy face. Sometimes you have not happy face also. Put it down in writing. Nobody is going to penalize you for that. Your project manager never do it properly. In fact, they will appreciate that, oh, even this thing didn't work, you still have documented it. Wow. You know, because you're being responsible, you're being transparent, which a lot of people and company look out for. Okay. Top 5 reasons project fail. The first reason, which is the highest percentage, is poor scope definition. Today, they say the requirement, I want loyalty app. Tomorrow, they say, I want loyalty and redemption built in. And what happens? Project manager may not be brave enough to, I will say that word may not be brave enough to set boundaries. He keeps saying yes to all and leads to what? Constant changes, reworks, more time, more money spent, and more resources needed. So you had to be careful. You have to firm up your project scope. Anything else besides regulatory or anything to do with usually regulatory or something to do with the policies or anything, the rest, try to push it to the next phase. Try to park it for the next phase. The second is role confusion. People don't know what they're supposed to do. Or people know they're like undefined responsibilities, which creates gap. This developer was supposed to work only on a framework, but suddenly he's also doing the coding. Who told him that? He himself don't know. But he's just doing it, thinking he's doing proactively, but actually the coding was assigned to another person. It happens. Why? Because they got confused with their roles. So you had to be very, very careful when you define the roles. The third is communication breakdown. Development team have their own communication. Project manager doesn't know about it. And guess what? Everybody started working in silos. Since it's like, I'm taking the example of loyalty app, marketing. They don't know what's happening to the project. And they started, okay, they say the estimated date is September 1st. So let's work backwards. But actually you have changed the date, which they don't know. So what happens? Confusion, chaos, and also miscommunication. Everything happens in one go. The fourth reason is not doing proper risk planning. You have to be prepared for surprises. A project manager cannot always be looking into the positivity. You have to look into the negativity also. It's not that you are being a pessimistic. You are being a 365-degree person. What happens if this doesn't work? Am I prepared for the risk? So you will not have these unwanted, unpleasant surprises because you are prepared. Whether you're using or not, that's a different story, but you already have the risk plan and prepared. Scope creep, I'll tell you, is the silent project killer. Because the scope will slowly started to increase, and then you'll be thinking, you know what, I can deliver. It's just one small task. But you didn't realize that one small task can take maybe 3 or 4 man days. So some common signs of scope creep is, like what I said, just one more feature only one. They want just one more thing. And you think that, okay, it can be done in half a day. But instead, it took what? 3 days. And there was no formal documentation or no approval from CCB, Change Control Board. You just accepted it. You're building yourself a disaster. So to prevent scope creep, it's critical to have detailed initial scope documentation that everyone agrees to. You have to establish a formal change control process where each proposed change is carefully assessed for its impact on timeline, budget, and resources. CCB is not usually one-man show. Usually I have seen like 3 or 4 people or maybe more will be sitting there, all coming from different departments because they want to sit, they want to argue, they want to, see whether this change, which they're pushing it, is it required or not? Do we need it or can we live without it? You have to educate your stakeholders about the consequences of scope creep, so they understand why change requests need to go through the formal process. They may say, just one small feature, or why you have to go to CCB, why you have to present? But you have to tell them, no, this is the process. I have to follow this process because it's going to impact your timeline, your budget, and the resources. Make them understand. Empower the project team to push back on informal change requests and insist on following the proper change control process. Now, some people try to act smart. They will say, I go through project manager, she will talk about change, the CCB and all that. Let me approach directly to the developer. They'll go to the developer being smart. They say, you know what, this small thing, can you change or not? This time your developer, must tell them or not. You go to my project manager first. Let her know first. Let her analyze the requirement before you come to me. The developer may not be aware of change control process, may be aware, and he may say also, this one maybe I do CCB. I don't know. You check with my project manager. You have to give that kind of power of voice to your team. Not everything is yes. So here I have a small case study. It highlights the importance of thorough upfront planning for marketing campaign. So the initial planning was lacking because they don't have detailed cost planning or vendor agreement in place. They just woke up in the morning and say, you know what, let's have a marketing campaign. and they started working on it internally, for example. Then the campaign scope started to expand. The budget, they couldn't adjust because whatever was approved, they had to stick to it. The management don't want to give extra money. And what happened? Well, whoever vendor they started to look for are either maybe not very professional, or they started being paid late, and you started to incur more fees. You know, some companies, they say, if you don't pay me properly by this day, I will, you have to pay me 5% extra. Then the final cost ended up exceeding the original budget by 30%. Now, that's a lot of money, making it impossible to accurately calculate the ROI. Okay. Then what happened? What did they learn from here? The key learning here is that proper upfront planning is critical to prevent costly financial surprises. 30% is a lot of money. It's a very big hike. So going forward, this particular team realized they have to ensure a solid plan in place with clear budgets, proper vendors. Why I say proper vendors is sometimes some company like to cut costs and go for freelancers who may not be well versed in how corporate marketing campaigns work. So you need to have proper vendors, vendor agreements, and processes to manage scope change. Now I have a question here. What is frequency of doing meeting, or what advisable frequency? Okay. I will come back to that later. I'll park all your questions towards the end, if y'all don't mind. Yeah, that will be very easy for us to interact better. Okay. Communication. This is your lifeline. You fail communication, your project failed. Agreed? I believe everybody will agree on that. If yes, put it in the chat. Agree. Thanks, Julia. Yeah. Communication is very critical. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks, Dania, Najwa, Tosila Devi. Yeah, Neil, thank you. Communication is critical for the success of any project, big or small. And here I'm going to cover 4 key elements of effective project communication. Stakeholder mapping. All the stakeholders may not be required for your project. And you have to come with the stakeholder matrix, who has more interest, who is, who wants to be less informed, who wants to be, more informed, but they have less interest. That matrix, you have to map it out. That will help you to identify the relevant parties, and also I would say, the amount of communication they need because of whether they want more information or they want to be more involved. What is their preference? How do you find this out? Let's say I'm a new project manager, or maybe I'm an existing one. But how will I find this out? You have to sit down and talk to a stakeholder. You cannot ask your colleagues and say, hey, this person, this VP no, the person only like email. That is their perception. But when you went and talk to them, what they say, oh, I like to, attend meetings. I want to have the dialogue going on. You see that? So never listen to what others say. Go and talk to the person in person to find out what is their style like. Next, you come with communication plan, where you define the channel, the frequency, and format for sharing information. Maybe your project, overall project, you have to send a weekly update as an email. Very possible, right? Very, I would say it's very common. Then for your team, you have a daily stand-up of 15 minutes. What you did yesterday, what you're going to do today, and what is the challenge you have? 3 questions. This is very agile, but it helps because it helps you to know where your team is. Then maybe senior management, they want to have a bi-weekly presentation. You need to do a presentation for them. Okay. And those, maybe the customer service officer, they just want to know the status of the project. Daily, just send them a, not daily, sorry, weekly send them a status report. So you see there are different ways. And with the involvement of WhatsApp and MS Team messages, some people may prefer that. Hey, don't keep on emailing me and flood my mailbox. Send it on WhatsApp. So you see, that communication plan will help you to define all this and to work within those definitions. Unless you have a new stakeholder and they have a new way of doing communication, again, what you have to do, go back to your plan and make changes. So it's also an evolving document. Regular updates, constantly share information to keep everyone informed. From the top level to your team level and also to those on the ground level, keep them informed. That's what people want. Not like, oh, that project happening, what happened to the project? I don't know. Never give that chance to anybody. Feedback loops. Establish two-way communication to verify understanding. Not only one way. I tell you something. Okay, tell me whether it makes sense or you think it's not workable or is it like affecting some other timeline? Encourage that feedback loop. Encourage that communication. Okay. Risk management framework is a structured process and approach to identify, assessing, and addressing potential risk and opportunity. The first step is to identify the risk. You can already sense it that this is going to be a risk. Document it. And not, okay, come on. When you talk about risk, a lot of people, we only think about the bad ones, right? What about the opportunities? They are also a risk. So you have to think in both ways, not only threats, also opportunity. Opportunity is also a risk that could impact your project or the organization or your team members. So you have to look into both ways. Next, you assess the impact. Evaluate the probability and consequence of each identified risk. I like to give this example about construction. You are doing this construction of maybe the main beams and weather forecast says it's going to have a storm. Now, how am I going to work with this kind of a risk? I cannot adverse that risk because that is work of, that is they call force majeure, right? It's nature. But I still have to make sure my columns are going to go up. Can I do that? Or during that storm, can I do something else? You have to assess impact. So instead of saying, okay, these columns, they are exposed, to the weather, to the thing, I can't do it. But instead of doing something exterior, can I work on something interior? Maybe interior, I start to build the walls instead while the storm subsides. It's possible, right? It is possible. So you have to assess the impact. Then you plan the responses. You develop mitigating strategies to address high priority risks as well as contingency plans in case risks do occur. Then you monitor the status, track key risk indicators and assess the effectiveness of the response strategy. Like how I mentioned for the construction, I cannot do that. Never mind, I will maybe build the walls inside or maybe I start doing tiling in the toilets. It's all this, and you have to monitor. Is it being affected by the thunderstorm? You have to monitor. So this is a very simple and practical framework which I've shared here. Next, risk response strategy have four response strategies, which are what? You avoid, you transfer, you mitigate, and you accept. Now, avoiding means you can either change the project plan to eliminate the risk entirely. This is the most effective approach, but it may impact your project scope. And most of the time, it may not be possible also. Next is you transfer the risk, meaning you shift it to the impact to a third party, such as through insurance or outsourcing. This comes as an additional cost, right? Because you're saying, okay, now I want to have this insurance that when a thunderstorm comes and if my external columns have some issue, insurance has to pay. I'm just making it up. I don't know whether it's there, but I'm just trying to get that flow in. So you transfer the risk to the insurance company already. Mitigate the risk involves taking action to reduce the probability or impact of the risk. This is usually the common approach for significant risk unless it's a risk beyond your control. The weather, war, all this is beyond our control. The last one is you accept the risk. You acknowledge, but you don't take any action. Storm, okay, leave it. I'll just wait until the storm finish, go by. This is okay if it's a low impact or low probability risk. It's not okay if it's a high probability and it's going to affect your project entirely. So you have to sit and think, what is the perfect, not I won't say perfect, what is the most practical risk response you can do? Okay. Now, let's move on to Agile. How many of you all are familiar with Agile? How many of you are familiar with this term Agile? Nobody? Come on, I have 42 people here. Me, thank you, Chong. Farah, thank you, Farah. Daily stand-up is Agile. Okay. Thank you, Tosilan Devi. Thank you. Julia, thank you. Okay. Now, Agile is a popular project management methodology that emphasizes iterative development, customer feedback, and continuous improvement. Now, let me tell you something. This Agile is not only for IT projects. Recently, I ran a client class for a retail company, and I was able to put in Agile for their projects. I was able to. It is not necessary Agile equals to IT. It can go other places as well. The key principle of Agile include iterative cycles, regular customer input, adaptive planning, continuous refinement, and self-organizing team. You don't have to go around directing people. People should know what they are supposed to do. Agile is particularly well suited, for software development, creative projects, dynamic environments, evolving requirements, and startup initiatives. Because these are always on the go, on the dynamic way of doing things. And that's how I was able to do that for the retail company. You know, I was trying to impact the knowledge and they did it, which was amazing. So these agile principles allow teams to be more responsive to change and deliver value to customer more quickly. Agile is mostly about what? Value. Okay? It's not about being perfect. It's about more on having the value delivered. So here I have some common agile frameworks. Scrum is a popular agile framework that's been there so far with fixed length iterations called sprints and defined roles like the product owner, Scrum Master, and also the team members. Kanban is a visual workflow management system that limits work in progress with work items moving across a board with columns. Kanban was introduced by Japan Toyota, and it's been still used, and in a lot of companies are still adopting it because it's so visual. Usually they have like 3 or 4 columns with to do, progress, done, and maybe they have a blocker. They will have it. Some companies may have more columns depending on the company's requirement. So one look, okay, this task is being done, but this task has a blocker. Why is it so? On your daily stand-up meetings, you can bring that up. If your team member forgets to bring up, you can ask, why this one is blocked? And they could say, oh, because there's a dependency in the external software, or there's a dependency in the external team, that's why I can't move it to the done. The Scale Agile Framework, SAFE, is an enterprise-level framework for coordinating multiple agile teams on large projects. You're building a platform, for example, and you have a lot of spokes coming in. Now, this is where Scale Agile can work because each team is working for a certain goal, but all the goal is merged to having a platform. Okay? Now, Scrum process is a popular Agile framework, which we all know. It consists of several key phases. The product backlog is a prioritized list of all the desired features and requirements for the product. It's like a wish list from your stakeholders, your clients, or your team. Product backlog is usually groomed by the product owner. When I say groom, it's not like wearing lipstick and wearing makeup and all that. That's not the groom I'm talking about. It's more like something comes in, a requirement comes in, product owner must ensure it is properly documented. What are you trying to achieve with that requirement? The product owner must understand before you can actually bring it to the sprint or to the Scrum Master. Then during sprint planning, this is where the Scrum Master will come in, and also the team will come in where they select which items from the product backlog they will work on the current 3-week or 4-week sprint, depending on the company. Now, you may ask, so the requirements from the requirements came from somebody, they don't have a say. That's why your product backlog, you have to make sure is proper. It could be an urgent requirement which has impact financially. You have to put the priority as high. If product owner doesn't understand, product owner must take the initiative to go and sit with that person to understand it. And during this sprint planning, the product owner and the Scrum Master has to make sure that, okay, this has to go into the next sprint because it has a financial impact. So the initial part of doing all this is product owner. It's more like a business analyst role, if you come in to think of it. Then the daily Scrum will start. That means, you know what, they already started the sprint already. After the sprint planning, they start the sprint. And daily Scrum is a 15-minute stand-up meeting where the team coordinates their daily activities and progress. They answer the 3 questions. What you did yesterday? What are you going to do today? Do you have any blocker? That's why it's only 15 minutes, depending on the size of your team, but still they'll keep it to 15 minutes. Maybe less, not more. Then at the end of the sprint, the team will hold a sprint review to demonstrate the completed work to the stakeholders and to the product owner. This was your requirement and this is how we have done it. If they are not okay, what happens? If they say, no, this you didn't capture the requirement properly. I wanted this thing to be in blue color, you made it black, example. It goes back to your product backlog for the next sprint. The cycle will go back. Then you have the sprint retrospective, where you reflect on the process and identify potential improvement in that particular sprint. What can we do better the next time? How can we streamline the process? What we overlooked? Those things happen during the sprint retrospective. And again, the process will start. Okay, go back to product backlog. Plan. The process will start. This is a continuous process. Now, waterfall methodology. We all, those who have been involved in projects, I think about 10 to 15 years ago, we know all projects will follow this kind of method only. because agile was not there, or maybe it was not adopted widely at that moment. So it follows what? A sequential linear process. You can't deviate, you can't stop, you can't do anything else. It consists of 5 phases: requirement, design, implementation, verification, and maintenance. The wordings are slightly different here, but the back of the understanding is the same. So in the requirement phase, we document the project needs and the requirements in comprehensive detail. Because why? After requirement, when you go to design, you cannot go back to requirement and say that, no, I want to add this. You can't do that. So I remember I spent weeks sitting and coming up with comprehensive requirement documents. Then we have to sit with the IT team, or we have to sit with any other team and start to discuss. Okay, now how we can make this happen. Then you move on to the design phase, where you create technical specification and plans for the product. Requirement could be more business, but design, if it's an IT project, or it could be like even construction project or engineering project, where you have to put in all the details, right? This has to be this type of temperature, cannot be more than that. This amount of cement should be mixed with I'm not sure about the other one, so that it can come with this consistency. This kind of technical specifications are done in the design. Implementation is execution phase. The product is actually built according to the design. Okay, it's according to the design. And verification comes in, where we test the product against the original requirement to ensure it meets all the needs. You have this product, now I'm going to do tests. Maybe I do water bonding tests. For those who are in construction, you'll know, to ensure that there's no leakage coming in. And for IT, maybe you're doing this, the user flow test to ensure that there's no place a error which comes in, or somewhere that the user is stuck and cannot proceed. So here you do the testing, a very important phase. Finally, maintenance, where you cover post-launch support and update to the product. Then of course, there's a closure after that. Closure comes after verification, then maintenance. So it depends. So each phase must be completed before moving to the next, with maybe a little overlap, but not like totally you can't change everything. You can't be like very agile, or you can't do anything. It has to follow that steps. Okay. Waterfall model is a traditional approach with clear structure and defined milestone. It has strengths. It includes comprehensive documentation, well-defined deliverables and goals, and it's very easy to do cost estimation and resource estimation upfront. And when you go for approval, it's very clear because you have the gates already defined between the phases, and the phases are defined. But it has its weaknesses. It's very rigid. And this module is resistant to change because your testing comes much later. The customer will only see the final product when there's a high risk of rework if requirements shift. You're happy, you finish everything and then give it to your customer. You say, you know what, this is not what I wanted. You have to rework everything again. And what happens? It delays, massive delay. Because waterfall, like I say, is very rigid. And this can lead to what? A time to market which is slowed down because of this for the customer. So here it's very important to see which methodology will work for your project before you embark on it. So here is a comparison. I have a very high level comparison to the factors. Which one will be good? Where you have to choose agile, where you have to choose waterfall. If your requirements are always evolving or changing, then it's better to be agile. But your requirement is well defined and stable, you move to waterfall. How involved your customers are. If you are thinking that your stakeholders and customers are okay to give you regular feedback, choose agile. But if you need that, no, they are very not available, they are always busy, then yes, we can choose your waterfall. Team experience. Is your team like on the go? They're self-motivated, they're adaptable, they don't need much supervision, agile. But if they are like somebody, maybe newbies who are just joining the workforce, they need clear direction, maybe you have to go for waterfall. Documentation needs, sorry. For agile is very minimum. For example, those who are using Jira or ClickUp, it's just like they call it one cut and then just put it everything in and you're done. But for waterfall, it has to be a thick, big document, like very thick, and everything has to be defined. Every process has to be defined, kind of thing. How complex is the project? If it's a low to medium with uncertainty, choose agile. But it is have very high dependencies, then you may consider waterfall. Okay. Hybrid approach. Now, this is happening recently where people are combining waterfall and the flexibility of agile. So it's hybrid. Waterfall comes where, during the planning, because it provides the overall framework, the detailed planning, which is one of the strengths of waterfall, your documentation, the plans. And you push in agile iterations for building the individual components. Like I was talking about the platform. Platform will have different components. So it is possible each component can follow agile, but the whole platform can follow waterfall. It's possible. Continuous integration will also gives you what? Ensure you have thorough testing, you are looking into the risks earlier, and you are like prepared for this kind of unexpected surprises. So it's a blended approach, which works for complex projects with both fixed and evolving requirements. Okay. Now, let's talk something about AI. How many of you are familiar with AI using in project management? Maybe it's your tool. Usually it's the AI tool. How many of you have used the AI tools for your project management? Najwa, thanks. Me. Who else? Not explored yet, Jason. Okay. Anwar, not yet. Juliha, not yet. Okay. I'm still looking. Okay, Adbil. Not yet, Pusila Devi. All right. Okay. Thank you. AI can handle a lot of the repetitive administrative work in project management. Like what? Your documentation, your updates, your communication styles, and other routine tasks. It can help you analyze your project data to identify patterns, risks, and opportunities that might be difficult for human to spot. Oh, Nell, you have tried. Thank you, Nell. We human, I'm not saying we are limited, but since we are like multitasking with so many things, some things tends to slip. And you can rely on AI to have this kind of to check out the patterns, the risks, the opportunities, and the threats, It will help you to see somewhere which you have not seen. AI can assess with communication. Your emails, your summary, your reports, your presentation, you can use AI. And if your company has historical project data, AI can help you to do what? Make forecasts and predictions about timeline risk and potential issues. Now that is if you have a similar project coming up, maybe with few changes, and you have some project data which you can hang on to. Project documentation is critical but often a tedious process. Agree? How many of you all have sit behind your laptop or your computer, tap, 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 for hours and hours and days because of project documentation? I'm sure many of you all have. Now, traditionally, what happens, you spend a lot of hours of what? Manual writing, formatting, transcription, version control. Yeah, you have to do all this manually. But AI can help you to streamline this process. With AI, you can draft your document in seconds, automatically transcribe your meetings. You can extract the action items and generate status reports. This allows us to create high quality professional documentation, which is much more efficient. What are the benefits of using AI? It saves time, reducing errors, and improving consistency across the organization. Farah is asking, when using AI as part of project management, can the information be trusted? Hang on. Can the information be trusted, reliable, and real? Don't copy paste from AI. You have to do your due diligence as well. In ChatGPT, they have one line, right? ChatGPT may make mistakes. So you have to verify your whatever it comes there. Does it make sense? Is it aligned to what you input? You have to make sure it is there. Have to be of allocation. Yeah, because these AI tools they are very imaginative and very creative. They like to go off track. Okay. Now, AI can help with project planning in several ways. It can suggest a comprehensive task list based on the project type and goals, ensuring no critical activities are overlooked. Now, again, you have to pick and choose. Cannot just copy paste everything because each organization is different, each project is different. It can give you a guideline. Okay, you are having this project, maybe you're building an app or you're building a website. These are the tasks that has to be done. But you have to also verify, does it make sense? Is it okay for my company to have that thing? End of the day, you have to use your judgment, human judgment. You don't rely 100% on AI. It's a tool. It's your assistant. It's not going to replace you. You still have to be there. So AI for project planning can identify the most efficient resource allocation, considering skills, availability, and workload balancing. It can help you analyze dependencies and constraints to recommend the optimal timeline and scheduling. Critical path can help you to figure that out. Can also scan the project plan to flag potential issues based on patterns from similar past projects, if your company has those data, helping to identify and mitigate risk. So what happens? You have an improved planning process and lead to more successful project outcomes. So project managers can leverage ChatGPT to streamline various aspects of your work. You can generate project documents like charter, plans, and reports by providing specific, proper prompts. Now, end of the day, it's all about how you use your prompt, how you do your prompt. You garbage in, garbage out only. So you have to give it properly structured prompts to make it understand. So you can craft personalized stakeholder communication, status updates, and meeting agendas. And also, ChatGPT can give you suggestions on how to address certain things and overcome obstacles like scope creep. How we can do that? It helps you. It also helps you to generate comprehensive risk registers, mitigation strategies customized for your project type. So you have to educate the ChatGPT first, and then you start asking for help. So these are some of the sample prompts I have here, You can say for initiation, create a project charter for mobile app development. And it comes with a project charter template with key sections. For planning, generate a WBS for office relocation project. And it gives you a task breakdown, but you have to still verify. For execution, draft a weekly status update email and it'll give you a template which you can use every week. For closure, create a lesson learned questionnaire. It sounds very simple, right? I mean, these are very simple sample prompts. You may have to work on it based on your company and your needs. It's good to create an agent. Yes, I agree. It's good to have your own agent. Next is Microsoft Copilot. How many of you are familiar of this? Microsoft Copilot. Nobody familiar? Nobody have that ribbon? That colorful ribbon? Yes, daily use. Okay. Thank you, Darren. CK, me. Okay. Thanks. Okay, tell me honestly, do you like this Microsoft Copilot? Thank you, Jason. Do you like it? Or just using it because you have to use it? Yes, Tosila Devi. Okay. Jason, thanks. Practical, Darren, thanks. Okay, so it's not new to y'all. Microsoft Copilot comes with Microsoft 365-degree edition, and it integrates with like all the Microsoft Office products like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Teams. So it can transform so many things for you and make life easier. It can help you if you have raw data. You put it in Excel and you can ask it to come up with all the charts, the bar chart, the pie charts, the bar charts, or you can even by using what? Natural language requests. You're not putting in any programming. You're just asking, okay, based on this, can you give me what is the best selling for the past 3 months, for example? It just analyzes and gives you. In Word, it can help to draft, summarize, and reformat your project documentation with simple prompts. Now, Copilot can also generate professional-looking presentation in PowerPoint when you put in more information like the project data and bullet points. And for team meetings, how can it help you? It can automatically summarize your discussion and extract action item. You don't have to keep on scribbling or you have to do a recording without anybody noticing. It does it for you there and then. So AI is making your life much easier as a project manager so that you can focus on higher level strategic tasks. Okay. So like what I said, Excel, you can use like project tracking with this kind of simple prompts. Summarize project status by task holder. Create a burn down chart of remaining hours. Calculate resource utilization percentage. So these are what? Simple, natural prompts. And Copilot can understand and gives you the output. Now, Gamma. No cost need to purchase. I think it depends on your subscription. Yeah. I have an interesting thing here. Seldom used for Copilot. Others may helpful, such as DeepSeek. Well, I am a bit divided on DeepSeek though. And we will discuss it later if we have time. Gamma. How many of you know Gamma.app? It's a powerful presentation tool. To be honest, I created today's presentation using Gamma. That's why if you notice, there are some errors, because like here, you see, it had a cut presentations, guide to tools. It had some truncation here and there. That's why I'm telling you, AI is not perfect. We still have to do our due diligence. Now with Gamma, it makes my life a lot easy because I input my project notes or bullet points, or even I can just give a one-liner and it'll automatically organize the content into logical sections and add appropriate visuals. This allows me to quickly create a polished presentation, saving hours of manual slide creation. Who doesn't want it? To just like, okay, I put it in and you just give me all these visuals, all kinds of stuff. After the AI generate the initial slide, you have to review and refine them to fit your specific needs and preferences. You cannot be like, okay, I like it, I copy paste. You have to review it because end of the day, you have to use your human judgment. Then you can deliver the presentation or share it with others just in a fraction of time it normally takes. So here's like a small brief. AI can help project managers in many ways to improve execution and delivery. One is called smart scheduling, where the AI can analyze team member availability patterns and suggest optimal meeting times. Now, in my organization, for my team, because I'm also looking after social media team, we use ClickUp. We use the ClickUp to get these things, scheduling and everything to be done. And it's automated, but at the same time, you can add in your own requirements as well. Another is automated updates. The AI can draft progress reports by analyzing data from project management tools. You can put in like, I would say like a rule saying that, okay, if on this day you analyze this and then you come up with a report. First, send it to yourself first to see whether you like it. And if you think it's okay, then you can put in whichever stakeholder prefers that kind of communication. You always have to do your test from your side. If you want the slides, you can check with my admin. She'll be happy to help after the class ends. Okay. So AI can also monitor for early warning signs of potential issues and provide risk alerts to the team. You as a project manager have so much things to do. Sometimes you will miss on the risks. And AI can be your assistant to help you achieve that. And of course, AI can help you analyze the options and provide data-driven recommendations to support your decision making. Okay. Now I'm here. Balancing AI and human judgment. AI is incredibly powerful. It can process large data sets, recognizing patterns, and provide consistent analysis. But don't forget, we as humans have unique strengths like emotional intelligence, ethical consideration, and creative problem solving. AI can do to a certain extent of problem solving, but not as deep and complicated as us. The key is to optimally integrate AI and human judgment. You can let AI generate the options, but as human, you have to make the final decision. Don't copy paste. Don't say, okay, I am running out of time. Whatever you give, I copy paste. Don't do that. You have to go through and make final maybe adjustments, decisions, so many things. So this creates what? A continuous feedback loop where AI learn from human choices and humans benefit from AI's analytic capabilities. All these tools we are using, they always learn from us, our style, our tone of voice, what are we looking at. They are always learning from us, whether we like it or not. So the goal is to what? To leverage the strength of both to make better, more informed decisions. AI is your assistant. It can give you the option, the strategies, the processes, but you have to do your decision making and say, is this applicable? Can I use it? Does it make sense? Because sometimes AI is always sometimes sitting in the dreamland and it gives you something which is maybe totally out of context. So that's where you have to step in. Now, how to implement AI in your workflow? First, you identify the pain points. What is your repetitive task or time-consuming task which you can outsource to AI? Can AI help me on this? First, you have to identify that. Let's say, for example, you are in a company where every week they want a presentation of your project status. Every week. Do you have the time to do that? You may have the points with you, of course, definitely, like how many we have achieved, how many tasks completed, what are the challenges, everything. But to put them in PowerPoint, it takes time. So here AI can step in. Either you use Copilot or you use Gamma and get your presentation out. Makes sense, right? Then you select the appropriate tools. ChatGPT is widely adopted by people because it's really like a good game changer. DeepSeek is also coming out, but I believe DeepSeek is more for, this is my opinion. It's more on when you want to do programming kind of thing. They are still not matured yet compared to ChatGPT, but they're on the way. They're on the way. And if you are into like more presentation, Gamma might help. Or you think you have to do all these data heavy things, you have to like make them change into visuals. Excel in Copilot can help, or if you have Power BI, they also have AI assistant to help you on that. And then you have to look which team member can help you with this. Now, some of them will be very resistant when it comes to AI. What I notice is those who are the senior citizens, they are the senior citizens, they are very resistant to AI because they have this mindset, AI comes, I'm going to lose my job. AI comes, I'm going to do my work. What is there for me? So what do you have to do when you have such resistance to change team members? Educate them. AI is your friend, not your foe. AI is not going to come and take all your work away. I'll give you an example. My dad works in the security industry. So now, as you all know, security is evolving a lot where they use a lot of AI, Internet of Things to make the things more easier and more streamlined. So sitting in the command center, this person can see what's happening everywhere. And AI can give you the alert saying that, hey, you know what, this person is standing there like more than 5 minutes looking suspicious. So when this came in, he was like saying, oh, you know what, very soon only one person will sit in command center and, the rest of the colleagues will lose their job. But I told him, your command center is analyzing how many plays. You one person can see everything. No. Maximum you can see 3 to 4 screens due to your age. And the rest, somebody has to be there. So it's more of helping you instead of you manually going to patrol and see who is standing there. You're sitting comfortably in your command center and AI is prompting you saying that, okay, there's this one crazy bag sitting there, looks very suspicious. And you can send your officers there to check. All by with the help of AI. So why do you think AI is your foe? Your AI is not your enemy, it's your friend. This is how you start to educate people. And you start small and iterate. Don't immediately, make everybody jump into that system, the AI system. Like I mentioned, I'm using ClickUp. What we did is we did hybrid first. We were running the manual and also the ClickUp because you need to give time for people to adapt. And I had a clear cutoff date. So within that date, my team was getting all this help from my team member, who is also my class admin now here, Tony. And she was helping them out, slowly to see. And so also we discovered, oh, they need this kind of dashboard. They need this kind of different kind of tasks list, And we also started to create and adapt it in ClickUp. So don't make it like, okay, hard cut, everybody now. You have to use ClickUp from today onwards. You can't do that. You have to give them time to adjust and you have to begin with one process at a time so that they also can understand how it is going in, how is it working. Okay. Next, one-page project plan overview. Now, gone are the days where you have to like sit and work with lots of documents. But then again, depends on the company. If you're a government-based company, I'm very sorry, we have to work on a lot of documents. been there, done that. But if you are a smaller SME who is very agile and adjustable, a one-page project plan will work. Now, what it will provide you? It will provide a concise format that captures all the essential elements of a project on a single page for quick reference. One time you see everything is there. It provides immediate visual clarity on the project scope and direction, making it easy for everyone to understand at a glance. Now, this format ensures stakeholder alignment by ensuring everyone shares the same understanding of the key project parameters. You need to have alignment. If somebody is not on the track, that's already a risk for you. So this one-page plan, which I have it here, is what? Keeps the focus on execution by preventing paralysis by analysis and encouraging action-oriented planning. When you have too much to analyze, you become paralyzed. Let's not go into that. We don't have time for that. So this is the essential of a one-page plan, okay? The project objective is to outline the purpose and goals of the project, ensuring alignment with organization priorities. The key deliverables specifies the tangible outputs the project will produce, making it easy to measure progress and completion. Let me take a pause here. Not all projects will have tangible outputs, agree? Some will be intangibles, yes? Even those, you have to put it here. Every project will have some outcome, will have some output. Next is the timeline and the milestone. You provide a roadmap for the project. You highlight major events and decision points to track progress. Next, who is involved in what? The team role will clarify the responsibilities of each team member or function, preventing confusion about who is accountable for what. Okay? And if you want to make it more advanced, you can add in things like risk assessment and budget summary. Again, like I said, it depends on the company, but having these two extra elements is better because they know that you are being more prepared. So for risk assessment, you want to identify the top 3 to 5 risks. You briefly describe each one. You can put in the impact level, the mitigation approach, and assign a risk holder. If the risk is from marketing department, get somebody from marketing department and assign it to them. Don't assign it to your team members. This will allow you to proactively manage the biggest threat in the project success. Then you can move to things like budget summary. Everybody is interested in money, right? Where you want to include what's the total budget figure, break down the major cost categories, specify the contingency amount, and note and make sure you have the approval for this, to use this money. So these things are clear. I think you're good to go for your one-page project plan. So here's how you can create it. You gather the key information like your project purpose, the deliverables, the timeline, and the team details, budget and risks. Use the AI assistant like who? ChatGPT or Copilot. Put in the prompt. Create a one-page project plan for and put in all the details, which is your key information. You can add in more details if you have. Then you review the AI-generated plan and refine it to match your specific project context. Finally, you format the plan to make it more aligned to your corporate brand colors, readability, using clear headings, bullet points, and white space. So there you have it. First, you think about it, then use AI to create your AI project plan. Your project plan using AI. So this is how a sample one looks like. I have the title, then I have the project manager's name, the start date, the end date, the objective of the project, what is the key deliverable, and a milestone, and the top risks. I didn't add the budget for this, but it's good to have it. If you have it, just add it there. Okay. Now, sometimes you think that I want to make my thing more visual. We are all humans. We are visual people. We like colors. We like images. Yeah. So, how you want to make your plan visual? You can use color coding. It's a great way to quickly convey different aspects of your project, like risk level or team responsibilities. You can include simple graphics or emojis. And you can add in small charts which can help visualize key project data like budget breakdowns or timelines. You can have mini maps. If you are a fan of mind maps like me, you can have those mini maps to show like the workflow or the dependencies, and which can provide helpful context without cluttering the main view. You have a dashboard, let's say, but you don't want to put everything in the dashboard, right? It'll become very confusing. So you may want to cut it into mini maps and status icons like the traffic lights to show that how is the progress of the tasks. So what is the goal here? To make your project plan as clear and intuitive as possible through thoughtful use of visual elements. Okay. So like I said, the one-page plan is powerful tool in tracking your project and initiatives. And it can also help you to come with several updating mechanism, like your weekly status indicators, your percentage completion tracking, milestone achievement, everything goes back to your one-page plan, right? Your risk, your budget variance. So you can use that as your backbone and come up with things in your digital tool to track them. Okay. So, some popular digital tools you can use with the one-page plan is Asana, Monday.com, Notion AI, MS Project, ClickUp, Trello. You can use all these platforms based on for your one-page plan to make it more visual, to show and tell. We can skip this. I think it's a wrong slide. Next is your communication plan template. Everything, every plan should be what? Should be in written, should be documented somewhere. If somebody comes and tells you your communication plan is wrong, you can tell and say, no, I had discussion with my stakeholders. This is what they like. This is what this kind of frequency, this kind of method only they prefer. So outline the key stakeholders, their information needs, the frequency of communication and the method of communication and the person responsible. Project manager no need to do all the communication. Sometimes team lead can do what? The communication of the tasks, dependency, the issues. And it could be in a team meeting, weekly meeting. And for the end users who are excitedly waiting for this loyalty app, for example, tell them what the features is coming, what's the timeline, when the training is going to happen. So you curate, and the person responsible for all is not only the project manager, the stakeholders. Sometimes they have to come in as well. Now, clear roles and responsibilities are foundation of team accountability, where everyone knows exactly what they're responsible for. No ambiguity about ownership. Here, you have to use different kind of frameworks like SMART goals. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It helps you to provide a clear target for each team member to work towards. So this ensures everyone is aligned on the objective. Regular check-ins, like you have a daily stand-up meeting or weekly meeting, where you have identify roadblocks or need adjustments. And visible tracking, that's where like you have the Kanban board, your dashboards to make progress transparent for the whole team and the stakeholder. The CEO steps in and say, I want to see what's the progress, right? You just power up the dashboard, you can just explain to him there and there. No? So of course, don't forget to celebrate. Be it your individual Your team celebration is very, very important. When you recognize the success, it motivates the team and strengthens the culture of accountability. Okay, this I will skip again. Sorry about that. Now we can have a self-assessment checklist. If that is very helpful. So you can assess yourself. How good I am in my planning? Have I done my objectives clearly? Is the scope well defined? Stakeholders are identified? Is my timeline realistic? Then team management. Did I define the roles clearly? Is my communication plan proper and does it work properly? You can define something, but if it doesn't work, then it's still a failure. Our skills are properly matched to the task. If someone is strong in designing, don't put them into development. You have to make sure it matches their skill. Is moral consistency positive? Now, you as a team, as a project manager, you have to ensure your team moral is also up. And if you realize from the sixth sense something is wrong, you have to step in and make it go up. Of course, progress tracking is very important. Am I measuring it objectively? Does it align to the KPIs or the goals or the objective? Is the issues and the risks addressed promptly? Is my reporting proper, consistent, and accurate? And are changes being properly managed? So this is a self-assessment checklist for you as a project manager. So the key takeaway for project success are what? Project excellence. Your project has to be delivered in a consistent, high-quality. Results must be seen and achieved. AI enhanced efficiency. Leveraging technology to reduce manual work so that you can spend more time on strategic work, like planning and all that. Risk management, getting ready for unexpected surprises. Methodology flexibility. Choose the right approach for each project. Previously, project manager used waterfall doesn't mean you have to follow. If you think agile or maybe a hybrid works well, go for it. And if your board asks why, justify it. Structured planning, very, very important. You can use templates. You can go through all these things like using AI to come up with this kind of templates, very, very curated for your company. Make it very structured. And of course, communication is the key. Be transparent, be open, and always ensure you are communicating to people. Now, thank you for all your time and attention. I hope the information I share has been valuable and informative. Okay, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to discuss these important topics with you today. I'm opening the floor for questions. Let me see the questions here. Hi, coach, which is the best application would you recommend? Okay, there is no best application, V. Kumaran. Like I said, it depends end of the day of your company. If your company is big, your enterprise is huge, then you may have to go using Jira because Jira is a wonderful tool that's integrated everywhere and everything. Then, but if your company is a small one, SME, with limited budget, and your projects are not that comprehensive or they are comprehensive, but you don't have the budget to come or use this kind of um, high impact software, you can use ClickUp, you can use Trello. They have freemiums where you can try and see if that works for you and you can work on that. Yeah, then palm oil business industries. I think I think it's huge. So maybe Jira might work because Jira is like I would say it's like the most adopted project management tool due to its flexibility for you to link up with so many other apps. Then let me scroll up. Oh, it's stuck here. Sorry, I think it was a Zoom glitch. So sorry about that. So let me go through there are some other thing was there. The benefit of using Copilot is you get to accumulate points to redeem for Lotus vouchers. Okay, I think that is for Malaysia market. I'm not sure. We don't have it here in Singapore. I'm running this class from Singapore. It's better to subscribe to ChatGPT 4.0. Yes, I totally agree with you, Chong, because you will have and also it helps you to have this deep research, which I find it very, very useful. And the image are better as well. Then can you share good prompts for practice? Well, I have some simple prompts in that slides I've shown you. If you really want to be good in a prompt, then I suggest you join our prompt engineering course, where our expert can run through that. Then, yeah, do anybody have any other questions? We have about 9 minutes. Jira, yeah, Jira is good. If your company is huge, I'll suggest Jira. Any questions from anyone?
Hello, madam.
Yes, Kumar?
Uh, yeah, can madam share the presentation slide, please? Because I missed out plenty of slides.
Sure. I will pass it
Because
to.
I'm driving while attending this class. So some
Okay.
due to some network issues, and I also joined late about almost like a 40 minutes. So I missed out a few slides.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. I will. My colleague is here. She will take note of it.
Yeah.
Which is best to use, Jira or Azure DevOps? DevOps is a different ballgame altogether.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Kumar. So Farah, with your question, Jira or Azure DevOps? DevOps is a different ballgame altogether. So it again depends on your project. Devadas can elaborate about cost loss due to lack project management. Can elaborate about cost loss due to lack project management. If you don't plan properly, if you don't allocate your budget properly, what will happen? Simple example, you go marketing, you come up with a list, right? Don't you all come up with a list before we go marketing? We don't just go there and then we pick and choose. So your list is what? It's already your plan. So if you don't have such a plan, what will happen? You start buying everything in the supermarket and you go back and your wife will scold you or your kids will scold you. So here, if you don't have a proper cost plan, I like to put it that way, you will have problems like you don't have enough money to pay the vendors. You don't have enough money to get in extra people. Let's in case your team is overworked. Sometimes your planning you didn't do properly, overutilized. You're not able to procure certain resources. So the cost and cost plan is very, very important. I hope I answered your question, Devadas. Any possibility to access this video? Yes, it's um Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. We are putting this video live streaming in LinkedIn, right?
Yes, Miss Mariam. So for everyone's awareness, we don't usually share videos and slides. Um, this is only being shared through our regular classes. So for the videos, I'll be including here on the chat box where you can view the live recordings. It's from our CEO's LinkedIn profile. So here you go.
Yeah, I can share in mine also after the class. That's my LinkedIn profile. Give me a moment. I think I have one more question. Just give me a moment. This is my LinkedIn profile. I will share it. I will share this session after this session ends. So I have one more question here from Nelly Angel Philip. As the only project executive at company, sometimes I face uncertainty in prioritizing or managing tasks alone. I appreciate any guidance on tips on how to handle this more efficiently. Prioritization. First, you have to define what is your prioritization? Is it based on urgency? Is it based on try to save costs, or is it based on trying to fulfill some regulatory? Now, those are usually the priority things, right? And then you can see, okay, prioritizing tasks alone. Okay, when you are doing things alone, you can still plan it. In a sense, like you can use maybe Trello, or you can use some normal Excel sheet, put all your tasks there, and you have to see like based on your company's thing. For example, you have to adhere to this regulatory by end of July. So that is your priority. But I'm surprised that as a project executive, you are managing everything alone. There should be a team, right? Nelly? Okay, I have time for one more question. Thank you, Farah. This session is very informative. Thank you. Anyone has any question? One more question? Yeah, I think should be a team. Exactly. One person, if one person is running it, it's not project. It's your own task already. No problem. Thank you, Nelly. Glad to be helpful. All right. So again, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you in our classes